Hey everybody, thanks for listening to the El Toro's podcast, exclusively now on Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Here, let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on things like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can also make money from your podcast, which is always a plus, with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast right at your fingertips and in one place. I can't believe it took me this long to switch over to Anchor.fm, but I couldn't be happier now. So, get yourself started and download the free Anchor app now, or go to Anchor.fm to get started.
Finest professional wrestling from the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic region, Capital Wrestling.
Welcome everybody to episode 5 of the Capital Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Sean O'Brien. You can follow us on Twitter at Capital Wrestling without the G. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean Neutron. You can catch past episodes and merchandise. You can get merchandise. And everything Capital Wrestling, go to capitalwrestling.weebly.com. There's plenty of good stuff on there, especially the brand new t-shirt. They have the Ringer t-shirt, very comfortable. So go and check that out. We just had a packed weekend for the inaugural event for Capital Wrestling in Jersey City at Cathedral Hall. It was on March 25th. And tonight we're going to have two of the wrestlers who took part on the show. Later on in the show, we're going to have Bobby Shields come on and talk about his match teamed up with Sizzling Stan Styles in a tag team match. But right now, we're going to kick off the show with a wrestler you might know from Maryland Championship Wrestling, Nova Pro, PCW. He is bringing his history of violence to a town near you. He is the one, the only Ken Dixon.
Hello.
How's it going, man?
It is going. So, let's just get it out there for all the mouth breathers. No longer Maryland Championship Wrestling, it's just MCW Pro Wrestling.
Okay, MCW, man.
Avoid the confusion.
Well,
fans are easily confused.
I appreciate that clarification for all the mouth breathers. So, I mean, yeah, we're going to touch on Capital Wrestling in a little bit. Obviously, that's what you're up to over this weekend. But what else have you been up to?
Man, I'm training. I'm in the gym. I'm doing what I need to do so that when I get in the ring, I can make a statement.
And what kind of training do you do that helps you with that process?
I train at the MCW Training Center in Baltimore, Maryland. My coaches get me ready for the opportunity to, get a break and get in front of somebody and show them, what the fuck is going on. When I'm on my own time, I try to lift and, do as many cardio drills as I can, but my coaches at the MCW Training Center are a big hand, which you guys are able to see.
Yeah, it seems very, direct and straightforward, and, you're a no-frills kind of guy. Very blunt, and I appreciate that. But the one thing I've noticed about you, whether it's in-ring or, on social media or in interviews like this, you're just always yourself. How important is it to be genuinely yourself as a wrestler?
Well, it depends on what you're trying to do. They always say you are yourself turned up to 10 or 11. Some people are douchebags and they try not to be douchebags. Some people are sissies and they try to make themselves be badasses.
Mm-hmm.
I am myself. Everywhere I say I've been. So, yeah, I don't have to lie to anybody. They like me or they don't, and it really doesn't bother me one way or the other. Just a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen interactions on like Facebook where guys try to, I guess be somebody or they're not, or they'll hype up a show and then later on they'll be buddy with the guy. So I guess it's hard for fans to distinguish.
Yeah, I still don't understand why guys do that. Once in a while, I guess it's cool, but you don't have to hug and make out every time you have a match with somebody that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I had shared that recently. It was something that I really connected with that I think wrestling is missing now with social media. It's like it's okay to hate somebody or to have a rivalry that doesn't involve a big hug and a handshake at the end of the match. So like we're trying to portray an image that we're all athletes and fighters,
Yeah.
Skilled technicians, and I don't think it does any justice for the product when you guys are done and you guys want to raise each other's hands and suck each other off. But that's just me. I'm a guy that's still on the indies, so what do I know?
But I do see where you're coming from, and that kind of reminds me of college basketball. There's no rivalries anymore. All these guys are buddy. It's all about AAU basketball, and these guys are all in it together. It seems, but sometimes you just want to see a little nastiness, little genuineness.
Yeah, I used to watch college sports because of that reason, because they were all hungry and they were in it to win it. And now everybody's friends. They go out and take pictures at the bar afterwards. That's a kayfabe is not dead. It's only dead if you choose not to use it or make people believe. I still think it's very real, and the business is missing it with social media being as heavy as it is.
Yeah, it's
something I could talk about all day long if I had to.
Yeah, no, it's just it feels like sometimes the curtain's pulled back a little bit too much. So sometimes we like to keep it pulled forward, I guess.
Yeah, I try to rely on it heavily. I don't come out at shows and sell gimmicks. I normally have somebody do it for me. I do sell merchandise, but I try my best not to come out myself because I don't want to talk to anybody. They want to buy my stuff, it's cool, but I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to take pictures with them. I had a guy come and ask, try and shake my hand at the end of the Capital show. I told him to piss off because I don't want to talk to him. Maybe that's me being a bad businessman. But if I'm going to be if you guys, I'm portraying a character, promoter wants me to be a heel, I'm going to be a heel. I feel like it's harder for me in the ring if after the show, that guy, he's pretty cool. He let me get a picture with him. And, he gave me a free 8x10 when I bought a T-shirt. I got to work harder to make him boo me. That's my reasoning. And, like I said, just a guy in the indies trying to make it. So, what do I know?
But you did mention, merchandise and shirts. And I noticed, you've got some very unique shirts, whether it's with the Ken doll or looking like the Hulk. Where do you come up with the inspiration for those?
Man, I happen to know some very very talented artists that have been able to help me bring my ideas to life. I'm not very artistic in that respect, so I rely on others to have the skills to bring those designs to life. And there's always, I've got a couple new ones in the works, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they have for me.
And where can they find those shirts?
I have a Pro Wrestling Tees store. You can just type Ken Dixon in the search bar, and you'll find me there. Excellent.
Yeah, they look, really cool and comfy, and but there's another thing too that's not very comfortable. But it's more of it's your history of violence. Can you tell fans what that's all about?
The history of violence is I spent a long time working a shoe job for a couple of organizations that most people have never heard of. I've traveled the world, and I've been to some places that most people can't find on a map.
Yeah.
That is the truth. That is honest. And what that is that is me. Let's see, how can I put this? I'm sure everybody's heard the saying that people sleep peaceably in their beds at night because rough men stand ready to do violence on their behalf. I'm bringing those tales to light for the guys that can't tell them themselves. That is the history of violence in a nutshell.
That is definitely some, it shows that there's a lot of deep thinking behind, and it's not just a gimmick. It's very genuine.
Extremely.
And you mentioned you've wrestled all over the world, or different locations. Do you have any?
I haven't wrestled all over the world. I've worked. I've done things in different parts of the world.
Oh, okay.
Not yet.
No.
I have not been able to leave the country for wrestling yet, but I'm looking to make that change.
Are there any places that you have in your mind specifically?
At this point, man, have boots will travel. I am not picky.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really kind of curious to see what the European style is. I haven't really gotten too immersed in that. I've never worked with anybody that does it, like the world of sport. I dig it.
Yeah.
I also think it'd be really neat to work with somebody that doesn't speak English. I've worked with a deaf individual recently. That was interesting. Wasn't terrible, but it was interesting. It was a learning experience for sure.
Now, is that where you kind of use the language of, how do you use the language of wrestling to help with that situation?
It actually wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. It was at WrestlePro, and I was in a multi-man match, and it was one of the students there. So he was familiar with the other guys that were in our match, and they knew how to make it so that he would understand what we were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
That what his role was, and he knew where he needed to be. He knew how to get there, and I think we did good business.
Now, we fans might also know you from Nova Pro Wrestling, and recently you've been tag teaming a little bit with Brandon Day. How do you feel that your styles mesh together?
We haven't been able to really do much there. We had a match against Cutie and the Beast, who are a ridiculous gimmick, who like to float around and kiss each other on the mouth. And, I don't really feel like we've had a chance to really show what we can do. What I do know of Brandon is he likes to wreck shop just as much as I do.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe one day Nova Pro will stop putting us in random six-way matches and nonsense tag team matches. We'll get a shot to do something.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, I noticed you generally, I think you fit well together. Would you guys ever consider a tag team name or anything?
I guess let's. I want to get some wheels under it first.
Yeah, true.
Let's see where it goes before we make any kind of commitments to names and gear and things like that.
Yeah. And how do you, in your opinion, how does tag team wrestling compare to singles wrestling, and which would you prefer?
I do both. I do like single. I mean, I don't think I could pick one over the other.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy both of them. They're very similar, but I do enjoy having a partner, especially if it's somebody that you have a rapport with.
Yeah.
That you share ideas with or styles. Rob and Joe, the Dixon line, my boys, we tag team in a few places, and their styles complement mine. They spend a lot of time in Jakarta. They train up there now, and what they bring to the table, I feel like is it's a good contrast to what I do. I don't flip. I just hit people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I like to do, and they're a little bit more fancy and a little bit more technical. So yeah, I mean, it's good to do different things now and again, I suppose.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing that you did differently recently is the debut with Capital in New Jersey at the Cathedral. It's a very special venue. How did that come about? You're joining Capital Wrestling.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they reached out to me, or they had posted, and I reached out to them. I can't remember how exactly the logistics.
Mm-hmm.
But I was originally booked on the first show, but then I realized I double booked myself. Luckily, the show that I was on fell through, so I was able to come up and do what I did for Capital. It was a good building, solid crowd. It was ridiculously cold in there.
It was.
And I heard that people left because of it, which is a shame because they didn't get to see me beat that little boy senseless. Yeah, I mean, I had fun. It was a good locker room. Some people that I know from other places, and some people I've never met before, or some people I've just never had the chance to meet in person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've been looking for, just new points to mesh with people I haven't worked with before. So it was a good experience, and I hope to return.
Yeah, leading up to the show, I've been calling it like a melting pot of talent where, guys from all over, with various, backgrounds and everything. So I thought it was definitely going to make for something special. And after Saturday, it seems like it did make up for something very special.
Very much so. It was interesting.
And it was, I think it couldn't have been more than 45 degrees in there.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah, I've never been so cold in so little clothing in my entire life.
Did that affect like your wrestling at all, or did it were you able to block that out?
There were some things that I didn't want to do. It was cold. I wasn't able to stretch myself out and keep myself warmed up. So there were things that I didn't want to do for my safety.
Mm-hmm.
So
then that was a really. Oh, sorry.
No big deal, man. I think they could have set some barrels on fire.
That'd be a great visual.
To the aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
Abandoned church, a couple of barrels, maybe get some hobos and fingerless gloves.
that almost reminds me of like Batman 1989.
Yeah, or like a Def Jam fighting game. That's what it reminded me of. Yeah, the first Batman, like some kind of off-brand fighting game.
Those would
I had fun. It's a good building. The pictures are starting to come out. The pictures are tremendous. So shout out to Dave Lane and John McClarty and the other guys that I don't know their names, unfortunately.
Yeah, they did look like they came out well, and had you had the barrels of fire there and they took some pictures of that, I mean, that would have been, amazing, honestly.
Learning curve.
But you mentioned, Ryan Zane was your opponent. He was out there with Vinny Pacifico, and he, unfortunately his partner was injured, but he issued a challenge, and you answered it. What are your thoughts on Ryan Zane?
He needs to go back and get a little extra training. I don't really have much thought about him.
Mm-hmm.
Send him back down to the minors and come back up when you have a little bit more time under your belt.
Did you, and where does Ken Dixon go from here in regards to Capital Wrestling? Any goals or?
Ken Dixon's looking to climb the ladder, so I want the best competition. That's it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Our goal, everybody's goal in professional wrestling is to get to the next level. I can't get to the next level if I have to wrestle some scrub that doesn't even come to the ring in gear. If I have to insert myself into, hoping there's an open challenge or something like that, that's not going to work for Ken Dixon. So what I have to do is I need to get myself in position to work with the best guys that I'm going to be able to produce my best product. So that's what Ken Dixon needs to do. Capital Wrestling, I hope you're listening, because I want a real fight next time with a real opponent.
Well, I hope they are listening. They should be, because Matthew Ryan and Marcus Dowling will look to get you a suitable opponent. And so will you be there at the May show?
Have they announced the date? Did they decide a date?
I haven't heard of a specific. All I know is they said there's going to be a show in May. It won't be at the Cathedral. It'll be a different location in Jersey City. But I guess once we find that information out, follow Capital Wrestling on Twitter. But we will definitely get that to you and everyone else so we can narrow that down. But also, speaking of schedules and dates, where can fans find you on social media, and what's up next for you?
Let's see. We're moving into April now. April 8th, I'll be wrestling for Primal Conflict Wrestling in Leesburg, Virginia. I'll be facing your next guest, Bobby Shields. he's got a bunch of cool names, but the one name that he's going to have is the guy that got his ass kicked by Ken Dixon. So you'll be able to add that to his name,
Want to introduce him later on?
Nickname list, yeah. So April 8th, I'll be there. April 22nd, I'll be at the MCW Arena in Joplin, Maryland. April 23rd, I'll be in Winston-Salem for AML Wrestling in North Carolina. Man, I'm all over the place. Fans can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, at @the_Ken Dixon. It's not hard to find me on Facebook. So that's where I am. I post my schedule regularly. So anybody that wants to fight, it's not hard to find me.
And he doesn't like holes in his cheese. He doesn't like holes in his schedule. That's Ken Dixon.
I don't.
And we thank you for your time and joining the Capital Wrestling Podcast tonight, man.
All right, man. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, man. So, now we're going to get to our next guest, and he is the master of flex appeal. He is the Jesus of the gym, the leader of the No Limit Swolgers. You might know him from Nova Pro Wrestling, PCW, and now Capital Wrestling. He is Bobby Shields.
Hello, yes. You missed a couple nicknames there. The testosterone terrorist, the bodacious brawny brute, the protein Picasso, the dictator of the deadlift. True talent. Beautiful. Bobby. The Body Shields.
And I knew I was going to mess them up, so I don't feel so bad. But you're also, I mean, you have to be the master of alliteration as well.
Yeah, it makes them better when they alliterate.
Yeah, it definitely rolls right off the tongue. But yeah, man, what have you been up to?
Working out. That's the primary thing. Not really just a gimmick. It's who I am.
He is straight from the gym.
Yep, 100%. We're recording this podcast right after leaving the gym.
Yeah, I'd have it no other way. It's like, what are you doing? I'm watching Netflix. No, it's not going to work. Get back to me when you're leaving the gym.
Yep.
So I mean, I've seen like on social media and stuff where you do like, you record yourself doing like the squats and everything. Have you done like bodybuilding?
Yeah. If you look back, last summer I did a 6-month prep and did 2 bodybuilding shows in the OCB, Natural Bodybuilding, in mid-June and early July. I placed second place in my class, which is pretty good for a first-time run in both shows that I did. So I was very happy with that. It was very gratifying to go through all of it. And but mostly I compete in powerlifting because I enjoy eating, and can't eat as much when you're trying to cut down.
No, I mean, so like in terms of weight, how does it compare that weight to like when you're wrestling per se?
I'll just say, I won't give you the numbers, but I lost about 30 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 30 pounds, yep, in 26 weeks or so.
And I'm sorry, it's a science, so you do it like, knowing exactly how to do it.
It was very much. I had the greatest coaching, and I will give them I want to give them all the business for anybody else who even just wants to, lose weight and hire a coaching or for powerlifting, bodybuilding, or general overall fitness. 3D Muscle Journey, 3D MJ. They are the greatest, most knowledgeable consortium of coaches around. Very science driven. You won't be told anything that has not basically been proven via science somehow.
I mean, also when it comes to the regimen you do for weightlifting, for wrestling, how does that differ than bodybuilding?
I mean, they all serve one or the other. The gym built me to look like I look, but there's nothing that compares to the in-ring shape. There's nothing that compares to being in the ring. So they go one in the same with each other.
I mean, I'd assume you would want to be too bulked up in the ring, or else you get kind of exhausted.
When I was a little heavier, maybe. maybe, I don't know. I don't think I ever got too big and bulky, but a lot of that, you know, you look at a Dusty Rhodes. He was big and bulky, really, and he didn't get blown up.
Mm-hmm. True.
You know, it all comes down to that ring shape. It's totally separate.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter exactly even what you look like. It's there or it isn't. A guy like Willie Mack is another one. Willie Mack is awesome. You know, he's a fat guy, and he'll tell you he's a fat guy, so I'm not like dissing him there. But he's a very athletic dude, and you know his body would tell you that. And you have awesome dudes like Matt Cross who are in ridiculous shape, muscular, big muscles, and all that, and same thing.
And I mean, how important a part does the diet play?
That's everything. That's everything. You can outwork a bad diet, but it takes a whole lot of work. So it's a lot easier to be a little bit strict on yourself than it is to have to try to outwork all of that.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to congratulate you recently on the Great Expectations for Nova Pro. You won that 6-man scramble. What were your thoughts on that match?
I went in there with the plan that I don't have to do anything to win this. I just have to pin one guy. So that's pretty much what I did. I got in, and I got out, and I won, and I'm in the Commonwealth Cup. And at the end of the night, I'm going to be drinking a protein shake from that Commonwealth Cup. And as a bonus point, I got Borrego out of the Commonwealth Cup.
Very, very true. But what's your thoughts on your first round matchup with Sanjay?
Sanjay Dutt is awesome, but he's also somebody I've beaten before, so I'm probably going to beat him again. Mm-hmm. He's great, but I'm just that much better.
And obviously, we know that your plan is to win the Commonwealth Cup. But tell us about what are your thoughts on the rest of the field?
You got hot stuff Tracy Williams, pretty awesome. You got John Kerman, he's a good dude. Logan Houston LaRoe. I mean, if it somehow came down to him and I'm sure he would just step aside and let me, the veteran, win it. Since I had a part in helping train him, only be fair. Mm-hmm. Alex Daniels, pretty awesome dude. Sucks I had to punch him in the face, but that's what I had to do to keep Rayo out of it. So that's pretty. Yeah, sorry, Alex.
We're also gonna have Eric Royal, Hot Sauce Williams.
Yep. I mentioned Hot Sauce. Very technical, very awesome. I think him and John Kerman are really gonna mesh very well with their sort of MMA style of pro wrestling. I think that's going to be your sort of sleeper match. You're going to watch that and be surprised at what comes of it.
Now, you've been wrestling quite a while. You're definitely a veteran in the business, about 15 years or so, right?
Yeah, my first match was in July of 2002.
Mm-hmm. Coming out of school, what were some of your goals and dreams?
To be perfectly honest, my main goal was to wrestle. Mm-hmm. It just was to do it. There wasn't much else. I was a small dude. I was like 140 pounds or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like I was realistic about it. I knew, looking at me, like I'm not going to be the next WWE star looking like me. I mean, you do have dudes that are that small now, but 15 years ago, you're looking at the beginning of like a Randy Orton and stuff like that.
Yeah, John Cena. Brock Lesnar.
I think that might have even been the year John Cena started or debuted in WWE. So
yeah, Batista, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. That's what they wanted. That. So the realism. I was realistic about my goals, and you had Ring of Honor popping up. I was not that Ring of Honor pro wrestler. I was not Mr. Technical. I knew my role. And my goal at that point was to just basically wrestle. Mm-hmm. I didn't know for how long. Really, maybe just for a little bit, for something fun to do. And here I am 15 years later. I've done so much more than I could have ever imagined. I've wrestled for the WWE. I've wrestled for TNA. I've wrestled for Ring of Honor. I've wrestled internationally. I've been in the Super 8, Shamrock Cup, like all of these things. Like, learn from awesome people like Taz, gain respect from other people that I looked up to. Basically everything, if I quit tomorrow, I'd be happy.
Mm-hmm. No, and you mentioned that, but and we also have a lot of goals when it comes to that stuff. But also, you do have a day job as well. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so my day job is something I'm pretty passionate about too. I work with computers. I work in a private school, running their sort of laptop program, it's called. So all the kids, it's a very different time in a sense, and it's a private school, so I got to stress that enough. But all the students get some form of laptop, and I manage and maintain, execute, and control all of that. And it's very exciting for tech people, very interesting for them, but not as much for the wrestling side of fans, I don't think. But, it's quite the yin and yang, a computer person by day and pro wrestler wearing tights at night, if you will, or on weekends.
Yeah, you don't want, I guess your gimmick couldn't be coming out with a laptop.
Nope, I'm not hacker Scotty O'Shea.
Or I call you Mr. Bob Robot.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you joined up with Capital Wrestling. Can you tell us, how did that relationship begin?
So Capital Wrestling, my boy, my man, my social media mentor, Marcus King Kong Dowling, one of the creators of Capital Wrestling, a man that I've known for a very long time. We've traveled a little bit here or there, a little bit down south, how it is, all over. And since he's one of the creators of it, that's kind of how it came about. He knew that I would fit perfectly in a spot there, and yeah.
And what made you want to join though, like for yourself?
Well, I pretty much wouldn't want to wrestle for any group that wants me, more or less. But any new fans, any fans that haven't experienced me in different settings, it's exciting to me to go into new territories, and this is an area up in northern Jersey, and a group with a different idea on their take on professional wrestling. It could grow into something very strong. And who knows? It may not. It may. I don't have a crystal ball. If I did, I would probably be a lottery winner. But let's get in on it early before it's everybody else. Let's leave the bandwagon, not jump on it.
Yeah, get down on ground level.
Yeah.
And speaking of Northern Jersey, going up there to Cathedral Hall, what are your thoughts on that venue?
It was amazing. It was a beautiful venue. It was, however, freezing cold.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no idea why, since it was warmer outside.
It was. At one point, I'm sitting there going, okay, I think I'm going to record my podcast outside.
But it was a beautiful, beautiful venue, and anybody who was not there missed out and will barely be able to enjoy the venue itself on the video once it's released.
Yeah, Ken Dixon had mentioned he wished there had been, barrels of fire that would have provided a nice little aesthetic as well.
I think that would have been pretty cool too, yeah. I think that actually would have been awesome. Maybe next time. Yeah,
kind of like that video game, back in the day.
Yeah, although I have a feeling next time it's going to be so hot in there that we're going to want, I don't know what, but giant ice cubes or something.
Or maybe those are big fans from the NFL games.
Yeah.
I've been calling it a melting pot, for a roster, just guys with different backgrounds and different styles, tag teams, singles wrestlers, all over. What were your thoughts on the Capital Wrestling roster?
It's just exactly like you said. It's a melting pot of talent. It's all sorts of different people brought together. It was a very interesting mix. I really didn't know what to expect from the show, whether having such a vast variety of talent and what the different idea would bomb or be a success. And I feel like it was pretty much a success. It was most people saw it, so it's not gossip, but first time promoter, I believe, first time show, all that type of stuff. A lot of bad can happen. And
yeah.
I think the opposite happened. I think the fans that were there and stayed to the end of the night were sent home very happy. As a minute that I got a chance to watch, and it was just great to watch. I highly recommend checking it out when it's released.
Yeah, I mean, those guys, talking to all three of them before the main event match, three very different styles getting the ring together. I mean, I had no idea. I mean, I knew it was going to provide for some magic, but I didn't, like you said, there's no crystal ball. I couldn't see it perfectly, but I was definitely pleased with what I saw as well.
Yeah, it all came out very good. I highly suggest checking it out once everything is released because it should be an enjoyable episode wrestling show.
But, speaking of matches that were on the card, you teamed up with Sizzling Stan Styles, and I believe that was your first time wrestling with him?
It was, in fact. We brought the sizzle and everything. I think, we could, a little bit of seasoning to us, and then you'll have a very successful tag team.
And where was the inspiration for the name Luxury Muscles Incorporated?
Look at us. Like, we got muscles, and we only live in luxury. So, pretty put it together, and that's how you got it.
Yeah, talking to Stan, at the Cathedral, he's a very, confident guy as well, so I can see why you guys are teamed up together.
Mm-hmm.
And, what are some of your goals in Capital Wrestling?
I'd love to win the tag championships with Stan. I think gold will look great around our waist.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of the tag teams there at Capital Wrestling, and there's definitely, you guys would be, one of the major factors in the division.
Mm-hmm. It'll be a strong tag division for sure.
And, I mean, what's next for, Bob Shields?
Next for the real Bob Shields, well, the next event you can find me at is Primal Conflict's Flashpoint event in Leesburg, Virginia on April 8th. That is the next stop on the Pain Train to Gain. Not to be confused with the Pain Train.
Nah, Preston Quinn, yeah.
But the Pain Train will actually be there as well. So we'll both be in the station making a stop.
But I think that you'll be fighting, Ken Dixon, right?
Yeah, Ken Dixon. I'm gonna slap the crap out of his face.
He told me to introduce you tonight as the guy who was going to get his ass kicked by Ken Dixon at PCW.
Yeah, he's a cocky one, and so if you make it out to that event, just watch, because I'm gonna slap the taste out of his mouth. There's really nothing else to say about that. Like, he likes to quick on the keyboard, quick with the mouth, but I don't think he has the credentials to quite back it up.
And then up next for you after that, I think less than a week later, you're going to be at Nova Pro. We talked about the Commonwealth Cup.
We got the Commonwealth Cup then, which is going to be awesome. A huge event and hopefully it'll be the beginning of an annual event for Nova Pro.
Yeah, kind of like King of the Ring.
Yeah, it's a great time. Lots of tournaments happening in the spring. The Super 8 happens then. This is the time for tournaments. So yeah, people should come out to that as well. It's gonna be good.
And then
a couple weeks of pro wrestling.
And then up next after that, we're gonna Capital Wrestling will be back in May. I believe I'm not sure where the venue is going to be just yet, but they will be announcing it, at some point on social media.
Yes, I believe Nova Pro is back at the JCC for the next couple of events.
Yeah, but in terms of Capital, I know the next one's not at.
Capital, yeah.
Yeah, it won't be at Cathedral Hall, but it will be somewhere in Jersey City.
Yeah. And I don't know if they even have a date yet, so I don't want to.
No, they'll. Yeah, I'm waiting on that as well. So once we get that news, we'll break it as soon as we can.
For sure, man.
And where can?
I hope to see more of you, people at Capital or Nova Pro. These are the spots to be. These are growing entities out there.
And I don't think people are going to have to worry about frostbite next time.
Yeah, God, no, I hope not.
And where can fans find you on social media?
On the social media, we can go to BobbyShields.com, the never updated website that I have. I fully admit I've given up on keeping that up to date, but it's got some links to this and that. There is on Twitter at Real Bob Shields. I post a bunch of just different things. A lot. If you like it, stick around for it. If you don't, well, that's fine too. And then if you enjoy About and Pro Wrestling. That's the majority of the stuff on Instagram. I'm at _FlexAppeal because at FlexAppeal was already taken.
Oh, bummer, man.
Yeah, pretty much.
And one last bonus question before we go. Being a veteran of the business for so long, where's your favorite place you've wrestled?
My favorite place I've wrestled is actually in England. It was the Butland camp, holiday camp in, I'm going to butcher which location was it? It was, nobody's probably been there that's on this, but let's see, Minehead, Skegness, and I can't remember the other location. I believe it was Minehead, though.
Mm-hmm.
It was, so for those of you that are familiar with All-Star Wrestling in the UK for the Butland tours, so the holiday camps are these camps that people go for vacations, and they are all-inclusive sort of resort little town things, or whatever, little whatever you want to call them. And there's some amusement park rides, you got shows, you got this and that, shopping, all on the campus of this place, of this resort of sorts. And one of the things that's been a part of the entertainment forever has been pro wrestling. And these fans are there to just be entertained. And it is great. And there's 1,000 people probably, a lot of kids. The lighting is amazing. It's just an awesome environment, awesome feel. It's really fun pro wrestling. It's just probably been my favorite.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that from a number of wrestlers. Is if you are a wrestler, going overseas is something that you just can't put a price on.
Yeah, it really brought everybody who's gone to those tours, the All-Star tours, really has the same feeling generally. These are just so much fun to do.
But yeah, man, I want to thank you for coming on tonight and spending your time with us here at the Capital Wrestling Podcast.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me, and hope to see yourself and others at the next Capital show when that may be, and hopefully at Primal Conflict or Nova Pro, because those places are important too.
Definitely, and you can follow Bob on social media, but you can also you'll probably find him at the gym as well, obviously.
Yep.
And if you want to follow Capital Wrestling, at Capital Wrestling without the G, you can follow me on Twitter at Sean Neutron. You can go to capitalwrestling.weebly.com to follow or check out past episodes, get merchandise, information on the next show, where you can buy tickets with Eventbrite. So all that, and this is we're going to sign off for episode 5, and catch us here every Wednesday, 12 o'clock, right here at capitalwrestling.weebly.com/capitalpodcast.